And thanks for coming here today. I just wanted to make a quick statement first. Last year, in the wake of national and local conversations surrounding disparate interactions involving police and people of color, we were asked for our data on this issue. And essentially, the race of those who are arrested, summoned, cited, or involved in use of force incidents as well. So, at a high level, when we look at that data, the raw data itself, when simply compared to the census data, confirmed that that was in fact the case here in Portland. Much is the same across the country. Our view of just the raw data, however, did not provide for a presumption or inference of bias or discriminatory practices. So we felt the need for a much deeper dive and a real, true external analysis in order to understand it and see what other data sets may be important to collect going forward to make sure that we have a bigger picture. Are our interactions with just our city census counted residents or not? Are these contacts initiated by our officers, or are our officers being responsive to a victim's call or report? Are any charges mandatory under state law, such as do these involve warrant arrests, protective order violations, domestic assaults, or other similar charges? And that's why we reached out to the Cutler and to Northeastern universities. We wanted to not only assess and understand our historical data, but also place ourselves on a trajectory for having a sustainable process to analyze our relevant data moving forward. We have nothing to hide. Opening up our doors to independent data and academic professionals will help us have a better understanding of our past while ensuring that we have the systems and processes in place to collect and analyze the appropriate data moving forward. Continue to provide the highest level of service to our communities. So to close, I'm extremely proud of the work that our officers, our dispatchers, our civilian personnel do here to protect this community. They react to tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving situations on a daily basis and do so with integrity, compassion, and restraint. And I truly look forward to working again with my friends and former colleagues across the bridge in South Portland. These collective efforts are intended to allow us to make data-informed decisions, bolster our transparency, and continue our efforts of holding ourselves accountable in order to maintain and build upon the trust that we have here with our community and its members. So I'll open it up for any questions.
Did you just say that your look at past data comparing arrests to census data does indicate some racial bias? Did I hear that correctly, or did I misunderstand what you just said?
That's the question. Is that the appropriate denominator, so to speak? Like, is that what we need, or is more, what other factors, what other data sets that we currently have should be analyzed? And quite frankly, what I would anticipate learning out of this process as well is what data sets, what information that we currently don't collect should we be looking at collecting going forward. And I'll just add, I'll tack onto that by saying one of the other projects that we have underway currently, and it is in partnership with the City of South Portland as well, is a new records management and CAD system. So as part of that, we're literally building that out as we speak. So kind of as we start to work through this process, I'm kind of excited to talk to them about, what things should we be looking at making sure that we're collecting as we're building this new system.
Do you suspect you have a problem? I mean, obviously Portland and South Portland are probably the two of the most diverse cities in Maine, which is what, 90+% white. But Portland and South Portland aren't. Do you suspect that there's a problem in these?
That's the question. I mean, that's the question. Yeah.
Do you think doing this gives the public, I don't want to say bridge the gap, but do you think coming out and doing this will kind of put the public's minds at ease? Kind of, what do you think the public's response is?
Sure. I mean, I think we hold ourselves to a high standard, and I think, demonstrating that level of accountability exists, and that is what we want. That's what we expect of ourselves. I think that's important. So I think making this a transparent process where we're working with folks, again, they're the data professionals, they're the professionals that have done this elsewhere around the country, really being open to hearing what they have to say and what they have to respond to us and the recommendations that they have. That's kind of where we're at right now. So yeah, but I certainly feel that it's important to open that up and have a transparent process for the community as well.
How long will the process take, do you know?
It's expected to take about a year. So March of 2022 we should be, and it's in phases. It's actually in 3 phases. So the first phase is them looking at the last 3 years' data, 2018, 19, and 20. 2020 will be interesting only because it was a relatively anomalous year in terms of the pandemic and the impacts that had on our calls for service and contacts. But again, it'll give a good 3-year perspective for us to kind of look back at, and then being able to look forward. Really the last phase that I'm anticipating as well is for them to help us establish a system that will allow us to, on an annual basis, do that deeper dive that we're asking of them this year.
Now, you're not waiting for some data revelation to do racial bias sensitivity training or things like that, are you? Are you already taking those kinds of steps?
Yeah, we have for the last 6 years, I think it was since 2016, so the last 5 years, we've done bias-based, implicit bias training on a biennial basis. So 2016, 18, and 20. We implemented a new bias-based policing policy in 2020, and one of the requirements in that is annual training in that area. So it's something that we do have done on an ongoing basis, and are going to continue to do at an even more frequent basis moving forward.
And you alluded to some of the protests of a year ago. I mean, I think it was right here where you one night took a knee out of what was perceived as empathy with the movement. Was this specifically demanded? Is this specifically responsive to the protests of the past year?
It's responsive to the questions that have been asked, throughout the past year as part of that. And again, I think it's been important for us to be transparent. One of the other things that we've started to do, and it's a work in progress, is we're posting our department policies and standard operating procedures on our website now. Again, so that it's pulling back the curtain, the proverbial curtain, so to speak. So it's something that I think we're going to continue to do. It was part of the interest in actually having the position that David currently holds, is kind of getting that information out there to the public and making sure that people are aware of the challenges that our men and women face on a daily basis and what we're doing to ensure that we're doing the best possible job for the community.